This is the Power School Navigation and Searches training, and the course objectives are signing in, learning how to sign in, how to learn a little bit about the start page, navigation, talk a little bit about headers, navigation toolbar, main menu, actually go in and start learning how to search for students in Power School, how to do searches, how to browse for students using their last names and their student numbers. We're going to do a quick search activity, learn a little bit about search commands, how to do a smart search. We'll have another search activity, talk a little bit about compound searches, using search codes. We'll have yet another search activity, do some parent searches, work with current selections, store searches and selections and activity, and finish off with teacher schedule. So that's our course objectives for this training. We'll go ahead and get started here. Where do I log in? One of the first questions is what internet browser do I use to go into Power School? What will be the best browser to use? And the material or the training manual really just tells us that we can use any browser except Internet Explorer. You will find funny things happening when you use Internet Explorer, so use any of the other ones. When you log into Power School, there's different logins to get in there. I know for sure that when the district puts this on the website, they'll have links where you just click on, I want to go into Power School or Power Teacher. And the thing is that there are different logins so that you can see content for teachers or content for secretaries or admin or subs. And we can see the difference right here on this page. Notice that we have Power School, and this is a sandbox URL, but it says pstrnsUSD12.org, but look at the slash right here, /admin. So this is the login, and notice you plug in your username and password all together here. This is the login for admin and for secretaries, anybody who's classified. But then when you go to the same web URL, but /teachers here, then that's the login for teachers. So this is where teachers will log in, and notice they have a username and password. So this is really beneficial when you're really trying to simplify the content, what the teachers look for and what classified looks for. So that really helps out. And again, you won't have to memorize these URLs. I'm sure we will have links, but we do want you to understand the difference. So I'm going to go to the next screen here, and look, there's even a sign in for subs. So we have that in here, and then we have some obviously for the public, which would be our parents and our students. So there are different places that you go to, different URLs, so that you can log in. And we need to use the appropriate one. So for this training, we're going in as classified staff or administrators, and we want to make sure we type in this on the sandbox here, pstrnsUSD12.org/admin. And if you are on our website, you probably don't have to type this because it's right below your screen and you'll be able to see this page. But you want to make sure you're there, and then you want to type in your username and password. Now when you type in a username and password, if you don't have one yet, you need to contact myself, Adelfo Huerta, or Adelfo H at susd12.org, or you can contact Francisco, Francisco Lizarraga at franciscoli@susd12.org, and you can contact us by email. We will send you a sandbox username and password that you can use to get in. So you would type it in just like this. You would put your username, semicolon, and then password, and then click sign in, and that will allow you to get it into the system. So as we go into the system, here's our start page. So just to get familiar with the screens here, we're looking at these different areas. Notice that we have our header. This is where we have our welcome screen. It has my name in there. It has a help link and a sign out link also. Make sure you sign out when you're finished. Then we have the navigation toolbar, and we have the school, district office, and term. And we can actually click on these just like we did in Infinite Campus, where we can click on school here, and then we could get a drop down and be able to pick what school we want to go into or what term we want to go into. So that's available also. This area here is actually the main page. This is where we have our start page, and this is where we do a lot of our searching for students. And then we have on the left-hand side here, we have our main menu, right? And this is where we are able to click on different screens that we want to look at for the students that we're working with. And then one of my favorite features is being able to click on just Power School. If you click on the word Power School, it always takes you back to the start page. So if you're lost, if you just can't find your way and you've clicked on different screens and you just want to get back to the start page, just click on Power School and you will get back. And finally, these little tools, these little arrows that you see here, A lot of teachers or staff forget about these little arrows here. You could click on them and you can actually minimize the whole the whole header part at the top, or you can minimize the main menu for more space. So you can click on those and it'll allow you more viewing area. All right. So one of the first things that we want to make sure you know is that this site does have a really good help site. If you go up to the header portion at the top, and I've zoomed it in for you here, you click on help, you will get a nice little menu that has specifically whatever page you're on. It'll talk about how you do things on that page. So I just clicked on help and I'm here on the main page, and notice that I have header, navigation, main menu, main page, and it goes in and it tells you a little bit about each piece because I'm on that page. So that's really, really nice. So whatever page you're on, if you're lost or if you're looking at a certain page like functions and you want to see what's involved or how you use that functions page, just click on help and it's gonna be really good. It's gonna help you out. To get going with this training, we want to make sure we are on the correct school. So here at the top in the header portion, click on school. And notice that it'll open up as a drop down and you'll be able to pick a school. This is a sandbox, pick Apple Grove High School. And then same thing for the term. Let me go back here. Sorry about that. Here we go. Term. Make sure you're on 12-13 semester 1. You want to make sure you're on that term. And then we can move forward. Now that we're there, we want to make sure we understand how do we search for students. And the way you search for students is pretty straightforward. Under the Students tab, notice we have a Students tab, Staff, and Parents. But under the Students tab, you're going to type in last name, comma, first. That's how you could find someone. But a lot of the times we can't remember the full name of a student. So you could just type in the last name if you want, and it'll pull up all the kids with those last names. Or if you know the student ID number, you're able to type in the student ID number and it'll find it. So in this case, I was using an example, Corby Adams, to type in here and be able to find a student. You can go ahead and type whatever you like in there, any last name there, see if something comes up. Just click the little eyeglass there and you'll be able to search. Now there's other ways of searching. What's really nice here is this browse student section where you can just click the letters here in the alphabet and it'll pull up a listing of those kids' last names in the system. So I could click on R and it'll give me every kid in the school that starts with their last name starts with the letter R. Or I can do grade levels. Look, I got 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Or I can do gender, male or female, or just see all the kids. So I have options to search just by clicking on these to find kids, which is really nice. All right, so just really quickly with what we've learned already, and you might want to just press pause on the video and try it out for yourself in the section here at the bottom of your page on PowerSchool. But what we want you to do is within 30 seconds, and let's see if you can do it within 30 seconds, be able to find Kelly Clinton and tell us what student ID number they have. So that's what we want you to do. And then we want you to try in and go look for Joshua, gender male, ID 28. What's their grade level? And then how many 9th graders there are. So go ahead and do that. All right, so time's up. So if we look at Kelly Clinton and we click on that, the student ID is 1037. Joshua, and all I did there was just type it exactly as I see there, and then it should give you the student ID when you next to the student's name. Here for the student name, Joshua, I just need to type the ID, right? Because I can't search by a first name. I could search by male, right? We could search by gender, but it's going to pull up a lot of kids, and we're going to have to go through looking for the right Joshua, and we don't know the last name. So the best way to search is the ID. And the grade level is 9th. And again, that's next to the name once you type in the ID and you search for that. How many 9th graders? That one I could just click on the grade level 9, and it'll give me a total of how many kids. And I have 160. Now that could change. Whatever, it depends when you're using the system because people add in kids. So don't worry if it's not the exact numbers. But this gave you a chance to practice and to search a little bit for kids. So we just did standard searches. That's what we were doing right now. So we talked about the header, we talked about the navigation toolbar, the main menu, We did a couple searches and we did it by last name and student number. So we've covered all this section right here. We did the activity. So now we get into the a little more complicated things on how to search for specific students with specific criteria. How do we do that? And we go into what's called search commands. So I'm going to go ahead and click search commands here. And before we start talking about search commands are composed of comparators. So, and I know you know what these are. So if I click on them, see if you could recognize what that is. Yes, that's the equal sign, the less than sign, less than or equal, in, contains, but notice the exclamation at the beginning, and then contains just without the exclamation, greater than or equal to, hashtag or pound sign, and the @ sign, right? These are all comparators that we can use when we're searching for students. So if we go to the next page here, you're going to see what some of these mean. Look at the equal sign, and here's a very good example. If you're looking for the first name, you can say the first name equals Cody. So we can search for first names. We just need to type this field called first name and then the comparator, which is the equals, and then Cody. Less than, look at that one. Grade level, we could search for grade levels that are less than 11th grade, and we're using the comparator less than. Greater than, grade levels greater than 3rd grade, and we're using the comparator greater than. Grade level less than or equal 10, so it matches anything that's less than, equal, or equal to 10. Greater than or equal to 4. So you can see some examples on how we are able to use these comparators. Look at the hashtag. The hashtag is a little difficult or a little bit harder to understand. Look what it says here. Does not equal. So the hashtag means does not equal. But look at the description. Finds everything that doesn't match what you've entered. But look here, football. So if there was a student that is in a football activity and I put football hashtag or pound sign, it returns all students who have a football checked box selected. So really what that hashtag or that pound means, it means that the checkbox, like if they're in football, that it's not empty, that it has a check mark. So it really means everybody who is in football. And I know that sounds a little confusing because we're speaking in negative language, right? But what we want to make sure, if this is confusing to you, just think about it this way. If we use the hashtag next to football or any type of activity like football or swim team or basketball, what we're talking about is we want to see kids that are enrolled or in that activity. That's what it means to put in the hashtag. Then we got a comparator called in. So you could say last name is in Smith Jones, and it will look within that. Or a better example would be, I'm looking for this student, last name Jones, within 8th grade, 9th grade, or 10th grade. So you could use a comma to separate it, but you can use in as your comparator to search for those kids. You can use contains. For example, if you're looking for a street name, and you could say the street name contains Maple, and it will find those streets with Maple in it. Or does not contain. It'll pull up all the streets that do not contain Maple. And we have the wildcard also. The wildcard allows you to type in for characters that you don't know. For example, I know that the last name starts with SKI, or that ends with SKI, but I don't know what it starts with. So I plug in the wildcard equals the wildcard, and then what I do know. And it'll find those names that end with SKI. On top of having comparators, what PowerSchool has done is they've created a little sheet for you, a go-to sheet, a helpful resource sheet that gives you useful search commands that are already created for you. So for example, if you wanted to find pre-registered students, you would just type this in the search box. /enroll_status equals -1, and it would find all those kids for you. So you could see all the different ones. I think the more common ones would be like if I want to find kids that have transferred out of school, right, out of our school, I could just put the search code in the search box and it'll find those kids. So make sure you find your copy or you download your copy of the handout resource from PowerSchool for navigation and searches. It'll be posted on our site so that you can have a list of these helpful search codes. Now, we've been talking about comparators, and we've been talking about fields, so we want to make sure we all know what fields are. And the best or the easiest way I can think of explaining it is when you look at an Excel sheet, because most of us have used Excel. Notice that the column headings of the Excel sheet, like address, that's a field, or city, state, name, type, departure, arrival, all those are fields. And then everything in those fields are records. So you have all these different records, all these different addresses, all these different cities, and so forth. So fields are really just those column headings, and we need to know what the field is so we could search for things. So a good example of this, whenever you want to do a search command, is you want to put the field name. In this case, the example is first name. Then the comparator. In this case, the example is the equal sign. And then what you're looking for. And we're looking for James. So this is how you would do a search command. First name equals James. If you follow this format, you will always be successful while doing your searches. All right. Let me go back here. So we talked about search commands, and just to summarize, it's really using comparators like we talked about, and fields, and being able to do searches and make it easy for us. But then the next question is, how do I know what fields to use? How do I know what those column headings are that I'm looking for? How do I know that? Well, we have what we call smart searches, and that's our next topic. I'm going to click on that. Now, smart searches allow us to not have to know what the field names are. Notice in here, and I've zoomed this up for you, I'm searching I'm not searching for a student name, I'm just searching for a field. When I type FIR, it automatically drops this box and it tells me, it's asking me, are you looking for first name? Because that's a field in the system. And that's a smart search. That helps me. So if you don't have this tool activated, the smart search, I'm going to show you how to activate it, because it really will help you not having to know what the fields are, and it'll just give you a drop down and you could just select it and use that field. So now I could click first name and then equals, and then I could put the first name and it's going to find those students. So how do I turn this tool on if it's not on? All I have to do is go to my left hand side, go to setup, and click on personalize. So notice that you want to click on personalize. And you're going to see something called interface, and you're going to click on that and see where it says enable smart search. You want to make sure that's checked. If you have that checked, click submit, and now when you start typing FIR on there, it's going to pull up the field names, which is going to be very, very helpful for you in finding what you're looking for. So here's a quick activity. This is also a handout on our site, but you are able to practice using, if you're on our site, you can use PowerSchool that's located right underneath this video, or you can, if you're watching this video on YouTube or something else, you can actually go to our site and download this navigation page and start searching for some of these as practice. So for example, I have how many students have last name that begins with the letter N. So you're gonna look for the field. You're gonna type in last name equals N wildcard. Remember, wildcard was one of those tools that allows us to type in what we don't know, but we know that it starts with N. It begins with N. So I would plug this in to my search box and it will find all the kids. So we wanted you to try some of these. So go ahead and click on pause on the video and try some of these so that you can get some practice. All right, moving right along. Compound searches, because I think we just did the activity. So now we're going to go to compound searches. We know how to do a search already, and we know how to do a search command, but you can actually put two search commands together in one, and that's what they call compound searches. For example, look at this example here. I'm looking for grade level, that's my field. My comparator is equals 11. So I'm looking for all the kids that are in grade 11. But I also want to look for kids that are grade 11 and that their gender is equal to M, or in other words, males. To be able to use those two search commands, I have to put the semicolon in between them with no spaces. And when I type that in together, into my search box, it's going to find all the kids in grade 11 that are males. And I have just completed a compound search. That's really that easy. So we have some examples. All of these are on your notes on the handout on our site. But you can see that there's other helpful ways of searching to broaden your searches, and I have them here, like using the slashes and the ampersigns and the plus signs. But the ones that I really like are the next ones here, the search codes. So we're jumping into, just to add on another level, how to use search codes. So we have search commands where we were using comparators were helpful because we were able to search for students, specific students, right? But in this example here with the search codes, this allows us to search for specific functions that we don't have in our fields. For example, birthdays. PowerSchool has already created a list of helpful search codes that will make your life easier, and that they've provided to you in our handout so that you can go through them. So I just want to show you what they do here. But I know that they're codes because they have a little asterisk in front of them. So asterisk birth date, for example. Here's some examples how you can use them. You can say asterisk birth date equals today. If you type that in the search box, it's going to give you everybody's birthday in the school for today. It's going to give you that list of students. Or if you wanted students that are in April, asterisk birthday equals 4/1. And it will find all those for that day, specific day, 4/1. Or if you want it within a certain time frame, asterisk birth date is greater than or equal to 4/1, semicolon, that's a compound search. Asterisk birth date is less than or equal to 4/30. So you're looking for the whole month right here, pretty much, using a compound search. So you could type these in and it'll pull up the students in the system. Look at this one, asterisk as of. Find students who are active on a specific date, and this is how you're able to use it. So all of these have examples. I don't have to read them all to you, but you've got examples of enrolling in a certain period, if they're enrolled in a certain course, if they're not enrolled in a certain course, if they've completed a course. What else do we have? Has not completed a course, cumulative hours, we got number of classes, attendance points, hours requested, and you can read the descriptions and you can see the examples on how to use these codes. This one's really important. Special programs, if they're in ELL, you can actually, or any of those programs, you can put this code in, type in the program name, and it'll pull up the kids within that program. And this is for fees, which we're not using at the moment in our system. But here's some very good codes. And the nice thing about it is that you can use codes with compound searches, and you can use codes with search commands. You can use them all together to search for kids in the search box in PowerSchool. So we have yet another example here, or another activity that you can do. And you can put pause on the video now and be able to search using compound searches and search codes. So this is a little bit of both, being able to combine those search commands. Look at this first example that we've done for you already. How many students have a birthday during the month of January? So you would notice that I've already put code on there. So you're going to go through your list of codes and you're going to say, well, I'm going to use this code. Asterisk birth date is greater than or equal January 1st, and then the semicolon, right, because it makes a compound search. And then asterisk birthday is less than or equal January 31st. And that will find all the kids for the month of January. Using, and this is a compound, right, and using those comparators. So what I've done is I've put on here, this is a field, so you won't look for a code, you're going to look for a field. This is a good example of using the hashtag, right, the pound sign. So I've got some other ones, and you can download the sheet, and we definitely recommend that you do some practice so that you know how to do some searches. All right, moving right along. We just did the compound searches. We did the search codes. We did the activity that you saw right now. Now we're going to go into parent searches. So not only can you search for students and staff, and we really didn't cover staff, but you can also search for parents. And if you click on parents, you are able, in this case, you are able to type in, because there's a first name box in here, a letter, the first letter of the name. I put a J in there. Or you can actually use these letters again of the alphabet to find parents, or you can enter new parents into the system. And you type this information. You could search for a parent. I put the J in there, clicked on search, and it found John, this parent here, and it has his information. The really important thing here is that you're able to disable their accounts here. So you're able to look up parents and disable accounts that they have to the system. You can also add student relationships to the parents right here. So you can click on this add button here, and it will allow you to add relationships to the student. And you would click submit. So you could either remove them, add them, or edit them. That's what the pencil's there for. So that's what you can do with parent accounts. Now, moving on to the next topic, current selections. So now that we know how to search, and I know that was a lot of techniques on how to do searches, we can also do selection of kids that we want to work with to run reports with. And a good example is this thing called current selection. It's a way of selecting kids. And I'm going to show you an example here. If I click on the letter R, it shows me everybody whose last name starts with R. And notice that there's 777 kids. Now I'm going to go back to PowerSchool. Remember I said that if you click on PowerSchool, it takes you to the start of the page. Notice what the current selection is, 777. So whatever search you do, it will always remember the last search you did, and it will keep it here under current selection. Now why would I need that there? Because the current selection will allow me to print a report with that selection later on. So that's why it's very important to know how to do current selections. Now, I know the current selection is there, but what about if I need to store a selection? What if I wanted to, I used one of these nice codes or command searches, or I'm sorry, search commands in here, and I'm going to be using it on a later date. It took me a while to put it together. I finally found the kids that I needed to find, but I want to save it. There is a way right here. Notice where it says stored selections. There's a way to store that. So let's say I type in, here's a search code, asterisk birth date. I know it's a search code because it has an asterisk in front of it. Asterisk birth date equals today. This will give me all the kids for today, right? I want to store that. I want to save that under my stored selections. How would I do that? Well, the first thing I would do is search for the kids. Notice that I searched. Here's all the kids whose birthday is today. And then at the bottom there's a drop down box called functions. And if I click on that drop down box, I have all these things that I can do with the kids that are saved or selected. And look what it says here. Save stored selection. So here I can save my selection of kids for later use. So if I click on save stored selection, I can type a name for it. In this case I called it birthday today. Save my selection. There's all these other things I can do with my selections. And then submit. And now if I click stored selections, it's going to be sitting right there. Notice that it says birthday today. And there's 27 on that selection that I did. Now I could click go functions and I could run a report with them, with those 27 kids. So it makes it easy for me to save selections for later use. On the side of stored selections on the main page, back to the PowerSchool here under the main page, we have stored searches. So this will allow me to store a search, not the list of students like before, but the actual search so that I can use it for later use. How would I do that? Well, I would have to click on stored searches first. Then I would have to click new. And notice here's a list of all the other ones I've done before. New. And then I have to create my search. So I'm going to call it swim team, and I'm looking for all the kids that are in the swim team. If I click fields, and by the way, anytime you see the word fields, it'll show you a list of all the fields available in PowerSchool. I'm going to look for swim team. I click on swim team, and it plugs it in here. So I put swim team hashtag because that tells me that I want to make sure that they're in swim team, right? And then I go ahead and click submit. What does it do? I have a stored search here, swim team. So now I can run the search. and it tells me that I have 28 kids. And now I can run any of these reports with those 28 kids. So this search does change. In other words, you're just saving the search. So if another kid tomorrow joined the swim team, this would say 29. Versus the other stored selections, it stores the list of kids. You can't add kids to it. So that's the difference between the stored searches and the stored selections. All right. Next thing we have is an activity. And what I want you to do is, I think we have like 3 minutes in here. But what I want you to do is be able to search for all students in the swim team for 10th grade and store that search. So you're going to have to make the search and then store it. And then at the bottom it says search for, you're going to store the search. So you have to create this, you have to go to stored search first and then store it. Stored selections, you're going to have to run this search, 11th grade males, and then you're going to click the functions at the bottom and store the selection, just like I showed you. Go ahead and get a quick practice on that. See if you can complete those, a stored search and a stored selection. All right. Stored select, we just completed parent searches, current selections, stored searches and selections. We just completed the activity. And finally, we have the teacher schedules. So we just wanted to show you, just to end this training, with how we can look for teacher schedules. Off the main page, right underneath PowerSchool, you're going to see functions and you're going to see teacher schedules. If you click on that, you're going to be able to click on any teacher that you'd like that's in the school. In this example, I clicked on Mark. It's going to show you what sections or courses they're in, right, that they teach. And it's going to give you information about the term. It could give you information, if you clicked on the course, about the course. It could give you information if you click on the section number, about the section number, when they meet, those kinds of things, that information. If you click on enrollment, the 22, it's going to show you the kids that are enrolled, right? And then if you click on attendance, that little attendance grid there, you're going to click on that. You can actually take attendance for that teacher through here. So you could put the code in here that you like for the attendance code, and then you can apply it by clicking on these boxes. You could click edit and apply the attendance codes there, actually, is how you can do it. So just a way for you to see that you do have access to the teacher, that you are able to access their attendance and the information on what they teach. All right. So that concludes this training, PowerSchool Navigations and Searches. I know this video goes by fairly quickly through the process. We're hoping that you will be able to pause through the sections, rewind, use as needed. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, adelphoh at susd12.org. Thank you.